On this episode of Destination Dare, an update on what the Dare County Board of Commissioners is doing to keep our inlets and waterways open. As the Town of Manteo launches a new recycling program, we take a look at the program and how residents of Manteo can participate. The Town of Nags Head is taking a proactive approach to the mitigation of stormwater in the town. Fun for the whole family and a chance to meet some of the people who protect and serve the community is what National Night Out is all about in the town of Kill Devil Hills. With beach nourishment completed in the town of Southern Shores, we take a look at the finished project. We have an update on the Town of Duck pedestrian plan and how the improvements are making it easier and safer for pedestrians to get around town. The inlets and waterways of Dare County are part of the economic lifeblood of our community. The Dare County Board of Commissioners have made it a priority to protect those resources.
Waterways in Dare County have been important since Dare County's been here. It's been critical to the way of life way back and even up to today. Fishing, boat building, food processing, recreational fishing, all that stuff is critical to what Dare County is. It's our backbone. It's what you think of when you come here, and it's important.
Our fishermen, our commercial fishermen need a highway, and that's their highway to go to work and to provide a living for their family. That is a lot of our history in Dare County, and we need to have an open highway on a regular basis so that our people can go to work. So it's critical, and it brings a lot of tax revenue to not only the state, but certainly to the county. So that's of vital importance to keeping these inlets open.
The economic impact of Dare County and the region is large. There are over 3,000 jobs directly or indirectly associated with our waterways. According to a Moffitt-Nichols study, there's over $400 million in economic benefits to the region. There's multiple industries, our boat building industry, our fishing industry, our seafood processing industry, tournament fishing, recreational fishing, charter fishing, all of those things are all related to accessible waterways that are critical to keep that economy rolling.
Here on Hatteras Island, we're passionate about our fishing. It's intertwined with our heritage. People plan to come here year after year. When that inlet continues to be stabilized and we have 2 working inlets with a minimal amount of problems, the sky's the limit here with the future in Dare County.
The Dare County Board of Commissioners have been proactive in protecting our fishermen and their access to the waters they fish. Recently, the North Carolina Marine Fisheries proposed new rules on shrimp trawling in North Carolina's inland coastal waters. The rules would designate much of North Carolina's inland coastal waterways, sounds, and estuaries as special secondary nurseries, significantly limiting how much shrimpers could trawl in those areas. The Dare County Board of Commissioners opposed the petition, with a resolution passed unanimously by the board.
In doing that, it also applies to how the area can be managed. And under special secondary nurseries, they can also say that the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the sounds cannot be affected, which can also eliminate dredging in certain areas. Although we're in a constant battle to keep our waterways open as it is, now we'll be putting another barrier in place that we could actually hamper us even further.
In North Carolina, we have a dredging fund that was set up by the legislature a few years ago. While we know all about Oregon Inlet and Hatteras Inlet, there are inlets all up and down our coast, and all of those inlets have similar problems with shoaling and the ability to get their boats out, their fishermen, their fleets, whatever that goes out in their various inlets. In order to fund that, it's a significant expense. The state set up an inlet management fund. Governments, all local governments in Dare County can use that money on a matching fund basis. It's one of 2 ways. It's a 1/3, 2/3, or a 1/4, 3/4 match, depending on the tier of the economy. In Dare, since we're a tier 2, it's a 1/3, 2/3 match. If you were down in Hyde doing a project, it would be a 1/4, 3/4 match. Where we're working now is in Hyde. We put in 1/4 of the funds, and the state will pay the other 3/4 of the cost to keep that inlet open. At Oregon Inlet, we put in 1/3 of the funds, and the state will pay the other 2/3 to keep that inlet going. We have over $2 million set aside to go into that inlet. That makes $6 million of local and state funds available to keep that inlet open. So far, that process that we're doing, the proactive dredging that's being done down there with those funds has been very successful. The inlet's probably in the best shape it's been in, and the people that use the inlet can get in and out. Down in Hatteras Inlet, the problems there are more recent, but we've got money set aside for that. There's probably going to be $1 million in dredging spent this year down there to try to keep that inlet open as well, for the same reasons as up here. We have a charter fleet of fishermen community. The watermen down there need access to the ocean, and so Dare County's investing significant monies in that as well. I think we have $250,000 in our budget, so when you multiply that by 4, that makes $1 million available to support that inlet.
We've been working very, very closely with the state and going to Raleigh and trying to keep this to the forefront of our legislators, because this certainly is one of the top priorities for our Dare County Board of Commissioners. Every member on our board is very, very proactive fishing and keeping our inlets and waterways open, and it's critical for us.
The Town of Manteo is launching a new approach to recycling by making it easier for residents to participate. Here's an overview of the program.
I'm Kermit Skinner. I'm the town manager of the Town of Manteo, and I'm here to tell you how excited the Town of Manteo is about our upcoming recycling program. We have contracted with Bay Disposal to provide free residential recycling to all the citizens within the corporate limits of the Town of Manteo. The Town of Manteo is engaging in this program primarily because it's just the right thing to do. However, we feel there will be a number of benefits to the Town of Manteo. We will take a number of items out of the waste stream. They won't wind up in the landfill, and we hope that we will have some significant savings in our tipping fees as a result of that, to try to keep costs to the consumer down. Bay Disposal will be picking up the cans on Tuesday mornings, and we ask that our residents have the cans to the curb by Monday evening. The following materials will be included in our recycling program: cardboard, paper materials including newspaper and magazines, glass, aluminum, tin, and recyclable plastics number 1, number 2, and number 5, and you can find those numbers on any plastics you have questions about. To sign up for this free service, you can just download the form at the town's website, which is www.townofmanteo.com, or you can pick one up at the Town of Manteo Town Hall, which is located at 407 Budley Street. Or you can mail it if you like. Our post office address is P.O. Box 246, Manteo, North Carolina. Or, if you'd like, you can email it to our planner, Melissa Dickerson, at dickerson@townofmanteo.com.
Stormwater mitigation is a top priority for the Town of Nags Head. Here's an overview of what the town is doing to proactively deal with stormwater runoff in the town.
The sheer number of people, of lawns and roadways will lead to increased flooding. We've had coastal erosion, we've had the islands slowly narrowing, we've had sea level rising. All of those things are influencing the hydrology of our system. So as we look forward, we need to consider things like how we develop impervious surface, and take into consideration sea level rise, climate patterns, the amount of rain that we're receiving in the spring versus the fall, and how these storms might line up.
Nags Head is committed to investing into its stormwater infrastructure, collecting a 1% property tax dedicated solely to stormwater management. This tax generates about $235,000 a year, which is about $40 a year on a $400,000 house. Making up the backbone of Nags Head's 55 miles of drainage infrastructure are 5 ocean outfalls maintained by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. The town works closely with the state on the operation and maintenance of these facilities. In addition to working with the Department of Transportation to alleviate issues, the town conducts drainage maintenance, primarily during the off-season. However, during extreme wet periods, the town reallocates staff to ensure that all the drainage ways are free of debris, open, and flowing. The town has been working steadily towards improving areas that have experienced varying levels of roadway flooding. Some recently completed projects include drainage improvements along East Gray Eagle Street, South Old Oregon Inlet Road, and East 8th Street in the north end of town to reduce roadway ponding and channel the water into an adjoining swale network. Several more projects are scheduled for fiscal year 2017-2018. To supplement dewatering efforts in extreme circumstances, the town has developed an emergency floodwater management plan, which the state is currently reviewing. On a more comprehensive level, Nags Head is working with an engineering firm to develop a 10-year master plan and capital improvement program. The first phase of the master plan, inventorying and mapping the stormwater infrastructure in the north end of town, has been completed and is available at nagsheadnc.gov. The town continues to identify other means of improving stormwater management, including investigating ways to improve town ordinances and identifying additional resource needs. In addition, the town is encouraging its property owners to use low-impact development solutions to manage stormwater at its source.
It's really important to treat stormwater throughout the watershed. Infiltration basins on most residential properties, we'd call those rain gardens, and they're just small depressed areas, maybe a foot lower, that gather the rainwater and allow it to infiltrate slowly. The swales in front of your homes, a lot of times people get upset that there's a little water in the ditch, but it's there for a reason. It's there to hold it, to treat it, and to allow for it to infiltrate. And the reason that sometimes it doesn't infiltrate quite as quickly as we would like is because it's receiving water from higher elevations in the watershed. If folks all throughout the watershed would infiltrate their own stormwater near where it falls, we wouldn't have those problem areas at lower elevations. I think the first key to successful homeowner LID implementation is being a good neighbor. Stop and look at where water leaves your property. Where does it go? Who's having to deal with it on the back end?
National Night Out events are community-based opportunities for the whole family to come out, have some fun, and meet those who work to protect and serve the community. Here's a look at the recent event in the town of Kill Devil Hills.
We are here tonight at National Night Out, and we're in the Lowe's parking lot. And National Night Out is a great community event for families to come out and enjoy a big event with tons of vendors and community partners and get to meet different public service people. We have the fire department, EMS, wildlife is here, the Coast Guard. So there's tons of community partners out here. It's a great family-friendly event that you can bring anybody to and have a good time. National Night Out is held every year. It is the first Tuesday of August, and again, it is a national event, so communities across the nation participate in this event. Originally, it was created to take back your neighborhoods and for people in their neighborhood to put their foot down on crime and to walk through neighborhoods and really take a stand against that. Here in Kill Devil Hills, we have more of a family fun event where you can come out and meet everybody differently and talk about different things that interest you in relation to crime in the community.
It's a good opportunity for you to come and meet us. And the reason is your children need to know us as friends, people who can help them, not be scared of us. We've all heard the old saying, if you don't behave, that police officer can take you away. That's the worst thing you can say. When they need us, they should be able to come to us.
We're here tonight to support our public safety brothers and sisters in the Kill Devil Hills Police Department with National Night Out. It's about community. You know, it's about identifying problems, coming together and working out issues so that in the long run we're all safe. We have our ladder truck here, we have our whole crew, we have our auxiliary, they're cooking hot dogs for everybody, showing some static displays and talking about preventing any type of emergency here. It's just a pleasure to be here tonight with the whole community.
This is our 8th annual National National Night Out here in Kill Devil Hills, and one of my favorite things about it is all the people that I don't know yet, I have the opportunity to meet and come out and interact, and they can put a face with the name to different officers and different people and organizations in the community.
The town of Southern Shores is one of the areas in Dare County where beach nourishment has been completed. Here's an overview of what was accomplished and what the future looks like for additional beach nourishment.
We're here today to take a look at our finished product. As it's been nourished, the work was finished on August the 6th. Very pleased with the way the project turned out. I think the work done by our contractor was exceptional. I'm also very appreciative of Dare County and their efforts on our behalf, our own citizens for supporting the project the way they did, our council for getting behind it and making it happen, our town manager for his efforts in organizing and coordinating things like the forum and things that helped get people's interest and get them out to know more about what was happening.
In Southern Shores, we added about 180 feet of beach width. So what that's done is added storm protection in front of those dunes, whereas before we were seeing some of those dunes erode, we now have added that material in front of the dunes. And so the hope is with sand fencing and planting that we can regrow a portion of that dune while we have that protection in front of it as well.
Now that the sand has been placed and that phase of the project is finished, the next and final phase for the town will be to place sand fencing in the hopes that it will catch the fine project sand that might be blowing from northeast to southwest and build up the toe of the dune. Also in the future, we'll be doing appropriate plantings of beach grass and sea oats in the sand that is built up. We'll actually be giving the sand fencing some time to catch the project sand before we actually do the plantings.
Part of the design and the construction template is that we add in material that is going to equilibrate and fill in those offshore profiles. Typically we see up to 40% of the beach, of that dry beach above the waterline, relocate and equilibrate offshore to rebuild that sandbar. And so when you're looking from the dry beach, it may appear that a lot of that material has been lost, when in reality it's simply moved offshore to protect and build up your entire profile.
We've created a beach area now that's going to protect our dunes. If we do have a major storm, dissipate the energy of that storm and allow the dunes to stay where they are.
The town of Duck has made pedestrian access and safety a top priority in its planning for the town. Here's an overview of what they've done recently to make the town of Duck a more enjoyable and safe pedestrian experience.
Over the last several years, the town of Duck has aggressively sought to invest in its pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, both from a people movement standpoint and a public safety standpoint. We've invested heavily in the boardwalk project as a way to provide an alternative for pedestrians to move throughout the village. We've also, over the years, invested heavily in stormwater improvements to help with pedestrian safety and ease of movement through the entire town. Most recently, we completed a project in the northern area of the town where we dealt with some standing water issues by installing pervious concrete and a drainage system that would move the water from the trail, thus making it safer for people to pass, primarily so they didn't have to go out in the street. The biggest project and the most ambitious project we've embarked on is the implementation of the comprehensive pedestrian plan in the actual village of Duck. This is a three-phase project. The first phase is fully funded, and we just got bids back on the project, and we hope to be under construction before winter begins.
So in 2014, we adopted the Comprehensive Pedestrian Plan. And one of the main spokes of the plan is the adoption and implementation of a dedicated biking lane and a sidewalk. Part of our vision ever since we became a town was to continue to improve pedestrian enhancements and cycling enhancements. And it's consistent with our vision. It's consistent with having a safe, healthy, pedestrian-forward plan to not only promote community health, community wellness, community safety, it's also an enhancement for all of the community businesses, because people stay here, and unless they're interested in going to the beach or the Sound, their next big interest is to come into the village, to shop and to dine, to enjoy the concerts and all the recreation that's happening in the village. And the sidewalk and or a dedicated cycling path is going to be a way for them to do that without a car.
So the first phase of our pedestrian improvements here in Duck will consist of improvements to the east side of Duck Road. It'll pick up where the existing bike path drops off just north of Four Seasons and continue all the way up to Duck Deli. The first part of it, the southern part from Four Seasons to Aqua, will be an 8-foot wide shared use path for pedestrians and bicyclists. North of Aqua, the project will consist of a 4-foot wide bike lane adjoining the road, 2 to 3 foot wide landscape strip, and then a 5-foot sidewalk. The other improvements that'll be part of this project in this phase will be crosswalk improvements throughout the entirety of Duck Village, including lighting, moving a few of those around to a little better locations, and some signage as part of it.
My wife and I have had a business here in Duck for 18 years, and we're really excited by the comprehensive pedestrian plan. We just think it's going to be awesome. You're looking at dedicated bike paths on both sides of the road, sidewalks, more crossings, better lighting. So we just think that all the improvements are only going to enhance the security and safety of our customers and our visitors. I think the plan is just a continuation of what's been happening in Duck for the past 18 years with the boardwalk and the wonderful park system, but this is the cherry on top of it all.
Next fall, the town of Duck hopes to begin the second phase of this project, which will consist of similar improvements on the west side of Duck Road, extending from the crosswalk at Aqua all the way up to the area of Tommy's Market, Cook Drive. The third phase of the project, which we anticipate being able to start in a couple of years, will consist of improvements to the east side, continuing north from Duck Deli all the way to the connection to the existing Duck Trail.
That's all the time we have for this episode of Destination Dare.